calls us, don't let it fade.
Welcome to Liberty Monday with Monday. Today we continue our study of the 27 grievances listed in the Declaration of Independence by examining Grievances 13 and 14. These two complaints focus on structural political manipulation and the militarization of civil society. Together, they illustrate how the colonies believed their systems of self-government were being deliberately undermined. Grievance 13. Text from the Declaration of Independence. For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments. What this means. This grievance addresses the British Crown's interference with colonial self-governance. Colonial charters function much like constitutional documents. They outlined the structure of government, the authority of elected assemblies, the rights of colonists, the relationship between colony and crown. To revoke or suspend a charter was not a minor administrative action. It was the removal of a colony's political identity and legal foundation. Historical context. One of the most significant examples was the Massachusetts Government Act of 1774, part of the Coercive Acts. It effectively restricted town meetings, replaced elected officials with crown-appointed ones, centralized authority under royal control. From the colonial perspective, this was not reform. It was consolidation of power. Why it mattered? The colonists believed government derived legitimacy from consent. By unilaterally altering charters and abolishing laws, the Crown bypassed representative institutions, undermined local autonomy, disrupted long-standing legal traditions, replaced consent with command. This grievance reflects a foundational principle: constitutional order cannot be reshaped at the whim of executive authority. Its lasting importance. The reaction to this grievance shaped the structure of the later United States Constitution. The framers would establish a written constitution difficult to amend, create separation of powers, protect state sovereignty within a federal framework, ensure republican forms of government. Grievance 13 highlights the danger of centralized power altering governing frameworks without the consent of the governed. It is a warning against structural manipulation for political control. Grievance 14. Text from the Declaration of Independence. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. What this means. This grievance addresses the forced housing of British soldiers in colonial communities. The issue was not merely logistical. It represented the normalization of military presence in civilian life. The Quartering Acts required colonies to provide housing, food, supplies for British troops stationed in America. Historical context. Following the French and Indian War, Britain maintained a standing army in the colonies. Officially, this was for defense and stability. Many colonists, however, saw it differently. The war had ended. There was no immediate large-scale external threat. Troops were stationed in cities like Boston. Soldiers were perceived as instruments of enforcement, not protection. Events such as the Boston Massacre intensified distrust of a standing army embedded within civilian populations. Why it mattered. To the colonists, standing armies were historically associated with tyranny. English political tradition had long warned against military power unchecked by civilian authority. Quartering troops among civilians signaled distrust of colonial self-governance, a readiness to enforce unpopular laws through force, an erosion of the boundary between civil and military spheres. This grievance reflects a broader concern: liberty cannot flourish where military authority overshadows civil institutions. Its lasting importance. This complaint directly influenced the Third Amendment to the United States Constitution, which prohibits the quartering of soldiers in private homes during peacetime without consent. While rarely litigated today, the principle remains powerful. Civilian control of the military, protection of private property, limits on state intrusion into the home. Grievance 14 reminds us that freedom requires clear boundaries between military power and civilian life. The broader significance of Grievances 13 and 14. Taken together, these grievances reveal a pattern. Political institutions were being altered or weakened. Civil authority was being overshadowed by military presence. Local self-government was replaced with centralized control. This was not merely about isolated policies. It was about systemic transformation. The colonists believed they were witnessing the erosion of constitutional order, the substitution of consent with coercion, the merging of executive and military power. In modern constitutional thought, these concerns translate into enduring principles. Written constitutional protections, structural limits on government, civilian supremacy over military authority, protection of local governance, the inviolability of private homes. These grievances remind us that liberty depends not only on rights in theory but on structures in practice. In closing, Grievances 13 and 14 address two pillars of free society: stable constitutional government rooted in consent, clear separation between civilian life and military force. When governing structures are altered without consent and when armed authority becomes embedded in daily life, freedom becomes fragile. The Declaration of Independence was not simply a list of complaints. It was a legal argument that the Crown had violated fundamental principles of English constitutional tradition and natural rights philosophy. Understanding these grievances helps us better understand the American commitment to limited government, structural safeguards, and the preservation of civil liberty. Thank you for watching. As always, stay informed, stay free.